Hey everybody, so my name is LaPrecious and welcome to my channel. Let's talk with LaPrecious. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix the lighting a little bit. Well, then again, I think I am gonna dim it some. So one of the reasons why I decided to make this video is because I want to pretty much do like my own diary videos and whatnot, because I know a lot of people are out there dealing with the same issues that I'm dealing with. And maybe, I could build a community, maybe I could build a following, whatever comes from it, comes from it. So I titled this video that I'm tired of being single. So the reason why I titled this video, I'm tired of being single, is because it expresses how I truly feel. So, no, I'm not bitter. No, I'm not jealous. And no, I'm not a hater. But the reason why I just don't like being single is because I never imagined myself being 26 years old, which I am, and still being single and still not having kids. So, the way that my life goes as far as my romantic situation is concerned, it's like, as a teenager, I had my first boyfriend at maybe 12, 13 years old. And then it's like up until adulthood, I've had numerous relationships that were either long lasting or they were short lived. And yes, I have seen the mistakes that I've made within the relationships and the mistakes that they made within the relationship, but it's like I feel like I'm not given a fair chance at love because I want to be married, I want to have kids, and I just want to have a complete full life. But when it comes to dating, it's just so different. A lot of people have suggested that I love myself, that I stay true to myself, that I continue to be who I am. But to be honest, I just really don't like who I am. I don't like who I am because I've never been able to be the person that was able to fit in with a lot of people. For whatever reason, when I was in school growing up, popular people liked me. They wanted to be my friends. They invited me to sit at their tables. They invited me to their parties and whatnot. But it just didn't feel good not getting what they got. A lot of times in school, the popular girls get the boys that they want. They get the attention that they want. They get invited to the prom and whatnot. And I just felt like things just didn't come to me that easily. As a teenager, whatnot, I was overweight, kind of like I am now. And I felt like that may have played a part in it, but it's like life and the world and love and spirituality just really confused me because a lot of people say you should love yourself, and a lot of people say you should be true to who you are and you should love who you are. But I personally feel like sometimes what you are is not what they want. And I feel like if you keep being told, I don't want you, I don't prefer you, I'm not interested in you, and whatnot, then maybe you just have to settle, or maybe you just have to choose a different type, or maybe you just have to be okay with being single. I've heard everything in my life from, oh, you maybe if you were happy for other people, you'd be able to get somebody. I've been happy for others. I bought gifts for others. I've been there for others and everything. And the same blessings they got still did not come to me. I have been a good person for the majority of my life, never been to jail, never done drugs, never gotten into an altercation with anybody. I've never gotten fired from a job, never had poor attendance in school, and I was just overall a good kid. But it just seems like in today's society and standards, being good is just not good enough. It's like when you're a good hearted person, men don't want you because they feel like you're too easy, or they feel like you're not enough, or they just feel like you're not what they want. Then it's like if you're mean or bossy or a bitch per se, it's like, you're the kind of woman that I want. You're the kind of woman that I like. And then a lot of people on YouTube have been talking about baby mamas and women who have kids, are not married. A lot of celebrities and YouTubers are baby mamas. And a lot of people have said that you shouldn't strive to be a baby mama. You shouldn't strive to have kids without a husband and whatnot. But a lot of us don't know what these women go through. And a lot of us don't know if these women are even married or if they're not married, because what people show you online is what they choose to and not just all they have to show. because social media can be very tricky, it can be very deceptive, and you just don't know everything from looking at somebody's pictures or looking at somebody's profile. But I personally feel like there's nothing wrong, even though I never wanted to be a baby mama myself. I believe that if a woman wants to have children, married or not, that's her right, because a lot of us have been raised and taught and have either grown up in cultures or societies where you're supposed to go to school, have a career, get married, and then have kids. And for a lot of us, it just doesn't happen that way. Because in the world that we live in, there are certain types of women that just so happen to have babies easily and get men easily. I can explain it a little bit, and then some things I just can't explain. I have noticed that women who tend to be silly, tend to not take life seriously, they tend to be very giddy like and whatnot, or tend to be narcissists, they tend to be more successful at getting into relationships with men and having children. And I've also noticed that women who do tend to be nice or who tend to be loving or whatnot, they tend to get cheated on or not picked, or they're somehow spiritually protected from being in a relationship or from being with someone. Now, I've gone to like my mambo and I've spoken with her and whatnot about my love life, and I've been told that I'm spiritually protected. And I've been told, and I've even been told this from Christian people, from Haitian Voodoo people, everybody, that I'm somehow spiritually protected. And to be honest, I don't like being spiritually protected. The reason why I don't like being spiritually protected in that aspect is because I feel like it's hindering me from finding that kind of man that I want to be with. And I feel like it's holding me from having kids, and it's holding me from being in a successful, fulfilling relationship. And some people say, well, you don't know if you're going to be in a successful relationship or not if you're not spiritually protected. And you don't know this and you don't know that. Well, to be honest, none of us know these things because, in my opinion, I believe that some people are not meant to be married with children. Some people are not meant to have children, or some people are not meant to have these traditional nuclear families that they may have been taught or raised to have. Because I've noticed sometimes that when people speak so boldly and so proudly about how they don't prefer this type of person, they end up with them eventually. Or some people say, well, I'll never be a baby mama, or I'll never be this and that. Then eventually they end up being one. Because, in my opinion, I just feel like relationships are something that needs to evolve and it needs to develop and grow and not be forced. But I feel like sometimes when there's too much religion or too much belief systems and whatnot, it could kind of hinder and block relationships from coming through. Like, I've been told that I'm so spiritually protected and whatnot, that that's why I can't be friends with people that I want to be friends with, or be in love with the kind of man that I want to be in love with. And to be honest, I don't like it, because I like being spiritual. I love practicing Lukumi and Haitian voodoo and whatnot and 21 divisions. But I'm like, y'all, if y'all keep blocking me from having kids and having a man and stuff, then maybe I don't need to be worshiping y'all. Because people tell me that, God is a good God, and I was raised in the church. I was born in a Black Baptist Christian family. And throughout my life, we were told to believe in God and to go to church and to pray, and that God knows all his ways are not our ways, and his thoughts are not our thoughts. But to me, I've always felt like God was not fair with me when I would ask him for things. He has blessed me with answers, with blessings that I asked him not too long after I prayed. But when it comes to having children, and then when it comes to having a husband or even a boyfriend, it's like I can pray. One time I went to the club. Hey, Games BR. And so, for example, one time I went to the club, and this was like a couple years ago. And I remember I prayed because my whole purpose of going out to the club was, meet somebody. And I said, God, I pray that you bless me with a boyfriend tonight as I go out to the club. Went out to the club. I met some girls that were there. We were dancing, and one of the girls ended up with a guy, and I didn't. The second time this happened was this year when I was in school. I was going to school for electronic medical record specialists. And so I remember I prayed to God. I said, okay, God, I want you to bless me with this specific type of man. I go to school. I see a girl walking hand in hand down the hallway with the type of man that I prayed for. I'm like, God, what are you doing? It's like every time I pray to you and I ask you for what I want, you giving it to somebody else. And so I've always felt like God, for whatever reason, with men and relationships and stuff, just I don't know if he doesn't want me having control over that. And it's not just him, but oh, that's okay, Games BR. But sometimes I just don't understand it, and I've actually left Christianity because of it, because I personally feel like, and a lot of people say you shouldn't praise God to get gifts, you shouldn't praise God to get rewards and whatnot. But I personally feel like if you're investing time and effort and energy and whatnot, you need to get something out of it. Because, for example, we don't go to work just to not make money, we go to work to make money. And we don't go to, liquor stores or grocery stores unless we're there to buy food, to buy liquor, or whatever. Everything has a purpose. So when things have a purpose and whatnot, you expect to get that purpose, or you expect to get that intention that you came there for, with your purpose and with your intention. And I just feel like with God, it's like, well, and I just don't get it. And people have told me, God doesn't have, maybe God doesn't want me having my type, or maybe God doesn't have that for me or anything. And I'm just so sick of it, because what makes other women so much more special than me, or so much more divine, or so much more gifted than me, to have what it is that I want? For example, being a Black woman, especially, and I feel like I could talk more on my YouTube channel about this than I can anywhere else. Being a Black woman dating is difficult for me. And the reason why I say this, and I'm not speaking for all Black women, is because Black women, we're put at higher standards than non Black women when it comes to dating. Because on one end, you have the men, and a lot of people keep talking about non Black men being more into Black women than Black men. I disagree with that, because I've dated non Black men my whole life. And I feel like with them, they have a certain type of Black woman that they're interested in. Because from my experience, they either like the Black woman that will go along and get along. She won't speak against him. She won't interrupt him. She won't play him. She would just do whatever she's asked to do. He has to approach her first. It has to be based on his flow, based off of his knack, tact, and everything. Then you have the non-Black man that likes the ghetto Black girl, the one who's loud, don't care about nothing, smoking, cussing, being rude and mean to people, and may have a job at Taco Bell or the post office, or some type of job that don't require much education, but at least it pays some type of money to pay a bill. And to be honest, some people may find something to say about this or whatever, but I mean, it is what it is. And then you do have the non-Black men that do like the Black girls with a little bit of money, the ones that drive the BMWs, the Benzes, the Rolls Royces, that dress in designer clothes. Everybody know their name. They got that rich girl like popularity, and it's just an add-on for them. And those are pretty much the guys that I have been with. And I don't fit any of those particulars, but I was the ones that they were into for whatever reason. And then unfortunately, sometimes dating interracially, you kind of deal with things such as not being picked because you're not dark enough. And that's also been one of my struggles of dating, is not being dark enough for men, because there's this tirade and there's this movement on YouTube that's been going on for years about dark skinned women not being accepted and not being loved. And one thing I will say is that, to an extent, dark skinned Black women are disrespected and not regarded and whatnot. But in my opinion, from what I've seen and noticed from my life and experiences, dark skinned Black women don't necessarily have that tough of a time dating. That's just my opinion, and that's just what I've observed from my own eyes, especially if they are like skinny, slim, thick, or like slim and pretty, or they just have like the black girl look, the slim, thick look, baby hairs, light makeup and stuff, and clean clothes, or whatever it is. Hey, Tiana K, and that's just pretty much been my experience. Now with me being a brown girl, I've been discriminated against plenty of times for just simply being black. Not necessarily being brown skin or whatever, but I've experienced it. As a child, I remember being told that I can't be befriended because I was black. I can't be, people worry about being fetishized. Yeah, I've been fetishized as well, and people have, I've had what I remember was an African girl who told me when I was in elementary school she couldn't be my friend because I was black. And then I had a Hispanic girl that told me, she couldn't be my friend because I was black. And this was back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, when we were supposed to be over a lot of this stuff. And so it's like I've dealt with racism and whatnot. And as a kid, my mom, she said no. She said, you don't need to be around somebody like that. That's being racist. And my mama went and got them people told too. And as a child, it didn't really bother me. I had friends of every color back then, white, black, Chinese. I talked to everybody back then. But it's like now being an adult, it's not that easy. Like, yeah, you have Black Lives Matter movement, and then you have, Donald Trump, who messed everything up that we was trying to work towards. And then it's just with dating, it's like I don't know what happened with dating. I don't know if men have gotten tired of being providers for lazy women, if men have gotten tired of being there for women and women not being there for them, or what has gone on. Now, I've never been the type of woman who was just all about cooking, cleaning, and being sweet and stuff. Of course, I've always been the one who's had big dreams and big goals and whatnot. But at the same time, it feels like the more ambitious you are, or the more or the more outgoing you are, or whatever, men tend to be intimidated. And then it's like you can't be smart, can't be, too pretty, can't be too shiny or whatever, because then they don't like it. And these are the things that go through my mind, and I feel like this is a healthy conversation because a lot of us experience this. And I actually read an article about black women and dating, and they pretty much said that black women who experience singleness are forced to be single. We're forced to not say nothing. And I really say, like, in our community as black people, even though we've come so far as therapy and mental health and LGBTQ issues and whatnot, a lot of us still have this mindset where if you're hurting, you're supposed to be quiet. You're not supposed to say anything, because when you speak your mind or speak your heart, you're weak. That's why people don't like you. That's why you crying. That's why you sad. You doing it to yourself. It's your own fault. We always like to do this blame game stuff to ourselves when we're hurt, when all we wanted to do was be loved and accepted. And it's like a lot of us deal with that because we're either not the favorite one that everybody wants to baby and run to and make sure gets everything, or because we're not the desirable one, or it's just because we're not something. And then the article even talked about how us as black women, when we act in our authentic selves as black women, is seen as too much. Where if we speak our minds, even in a peaceful, respectful way, it's too aggressive, it's too much and whatnot. If we stand our ground, you're doing too much, you're being combative. Or if we're just being who we are, like any other race and culture, it comes off as too much. And my thing is, I feel like the plan of the white man, and I hate to put it like that, it worked. Because everywhere you go now in historically black communities and historically black cities is gentrified. They're tearing down everything that means community, throwing up liquor stores and churches and gas stations and gambling places. And then putting up $2,000 or $3,000 a month apartments right next to it. putting up all these gourmet style restaurants that don't have no type of flavor or seasoning and whatnot in it, or these like mega health places and stuff. And there's nothing wrong with eating healthy and eating light, but it's like they're almost trying to make us gentrified black people. And it's like you can't even find it anymore. Because yeah, coffee shops are new colonization. It also starts out with narcissist parents always judging who you date, what they look like, what your children look like. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it's like when you and going back to gentrification, it's like you see it a lot. And the thing is, it's like so and it's almost like you can't fight it because it's like a lot of black communities are run down and out of business because due to the years of drug addiction and abuse and stuff, and then COVID came and wiped whatever was left out, and so many people left and left jobs so they could make more money and have a better quality of life. It's kind of left a lot of the black communities barren, and there's really no choice but for somebody to come in and build it up and just make it whole and make it new again. So that's that part. But when it comes to dating and whatnot, when it comes to me, it's just like I've always been the kind of person where I want to date who I like. I want to date who I'm attracted to. I want to date who I love and whatnot. But it's like in my life with my experiences, I have to date somebody who likes me, date somebody who's attracted to me, date somebody who wants to be with me. Even if I don't want to be with them, I'm attracted to them, I don't like them. And it's like I've always wanted to change that. And it's like with me, I've done love spells, I've done love rituals and whatnot, and they don't work. And I know I have a lot of spiritual people in my chat right now that get readings from me, and I'm just being honest. I've had love work and stuff done for me, and it just didn't work, and I just don't know why. I've done love work for others and love work, on different people, and it worked. But when it comes to me, I just don't know what it is. And I've even had, ancestor readings, and I've been told that my ancestors are blocking me from being in relationships because with my bloodline on both sides of my families, we have a lot of generational curses when it comes to relationships and alcoholism and drug abuse and whatnot. And I've even been told that in my present life, my ancestors are coming in messing stuff up for me, including my love life. And so that's why when it comes to ancestral worship, I just don't do it. Because it's like, why should I worship somebody who's caused a lot of mess for me and can't even make stuff right for me even now? And so I worship the Orishas, I worship the Loas and the Mysterios. And I know that they say a lot of times you shouldn't tell people what you worship or what you do because of jealousy and all this kind of stuff. But what's for me is for me, and what's not is not. And I keep myself very spiritually protected against the evil eye and jealousy and whatnot. But I just felt the need to get this off of my heart and to be transparent. Now I have started therapy. I will start therapy. I believe it's what next week, and I do plan on, working some stuff out because there are a lot of things going on within me, and I don't want to reveal in this video that have to do, with childhood trauma and mishaps and just unfairness because what I want is so simple, but I feel like the universe is just making it so big. I've been told that the reason why I don't have a relationship is because I'm not financially stable enough, or I'm not established enough in life, or I'm just not. And I feel like people want to use these things as distractions, but it's like I've always fought that in my life. I've actually been told this since I was 15, 16 years old. You have to love yourself. You have to go to school. You have to build your career up and whatnot. And I'm like, I see so many women who don't go to college, don't go to school, and they have jobs and all this kind of stuff, and they have families. And I mean, I do feel like it is what you want, and it is, it is what you want, and and it is all what you all what you I guess you could say feel you deserve, or all that you feel that you want. But I just know for me, I've just always wanted what was best for me. I never wanted to be a baby mama or better yet, a single mother because I came from one. And I never wanted to struggle and I never wanted to not have, a combined family or a joined family and whatnot. And I've even had the opportunity of having kids with past men that I dated, but I just didn't want to be, baby mother to them and still needing so much help, from them and whatnot. And, just having to deal with a lot of struggle and striving and dealing with them and dealing with myself. And I just didn't want that kind of stress because they even had a mother, not too long ago who committed suicide because she had two kids, I think by two different men. And they just wasn't helping out. And she was depressed and stressed out because she didn't have any help. And I just didn't want that being me. But I mean, who's to say? I mean, some women, they tend to have better luck having children when they're single in a relationship instead of just holding out to get married. Because I feel like marriage just should come naturally instead of it being something you command or demand. But I also feel like children are meant to come naturally as well because I've heard of mambos and Hugans and other spiritual people, do readings on people with kids, and the kids came through, a lot, or they came through a family line where they weren't born in a marriage or whatnot, but it said in the plan of destiny they were meant to be here. So I feel like when it comes to kids and marriages and people and stuff like that, it's all meant to be. And I personally feel like it's stressful, especially if you're raising boys all alone, being over 40. Now I wouldn't know what that would be like, but to someone who is, they can probably attest to that. And I just feel like some things are just meant to happen naturally, like marriage and kids and relationships and whatnot, instead of it being forced. Because I just feel like, you can do spells to bring love, you can do spells to attract love, you can use magic to attract love. And I mean, the magic, it can work where it's permanent and it lasts, but there has to be some type of mutual connection or mutual feelings and whatnot for those love spells to work. I've done love spells before on the last guy I was with, and it really worked because we had a lot of feelings for each other. But if you don't know someone or you've never had like a strong connection or interaction with them and you're doing love spells or love work and whatnot, it's not gonna happen. It's just not. But that's pretty much my take on relationships and why I hate being single because I just never imagined myself being at this stage in my life and never really knew how to get here. But I just feel like with me, it's just going to take some trial and error because I think what's going to happen with me is that I'm just going to have to find my place. And I did that when I was in my early 20s and it felt good, but I just didn't like the judgment and whatnot that came with it. Me being myself, me not doing this. I feel like we shouldn't repeat the cycle, but I do feel things should come naturally. Yeah, yeah, I believe that as well. But yeah, those are pretty much my sentiments on it because I mean, it just is what it is. And a lot of women do feel that way where they feel like, they should have had things by a certain age and whatnot. But I just feel like with me, I just don't know where to go at this point when it comes to love. It's like in my life, it's always been easy for me to make money, it's always been easy for me to get another job. But when it comes to relationships with people and men, whether that be even with friendships and whatnot, it's just been very hard. Now, when I was a kid, I had no issues having friends and whatnot, but I always had issues like with dating and getting with boys and whatnot. And as an adult, it's still the same thing. So I just don't know what's going to come in my life when it comes to dating, what's going to come in my life with kids or with the relationship because I've tried dating online and dating apps and whatnot, and I hate them because a lot of the men on there are very picky, that want to have sex, and they're just so engulfed in having a type. You have to have a banging body, the right skin tone, complexion, and the hair, the right status, and the right type of lifestyle for them to pick you. But it's like if you're a good person that has a good heart and a good soul and you want what's best, it's like you're only good enough to have an old man or someone who's older for you. But if you want somebody who's young and vibrant, it's just all about money. So I hope you guys like this video, and don't be afraid to share this video with people that you know feel the same way, with people that you know are experiencing the same things, and just like and share the video. Have a good night.